Hello, I'm David Atchison, and I would like to talk to you about this series called In Love with Geometry. I haven't always been in love with geometry. In fact, when I was a young boy, I had to use this book to learn geometry, and one of the pages was particularly frightening. It was page 119, and I should like to show it to you now. It's this. Proof of Pythagoras' theorem, which at the time I found completely incomprehensible. But not everybody feels like that when they first see this proof. There's a very famous case of a philosopher called Thomas Hobbes in the 17th century. I've got a picture of him here in old age. This famous philosopher was very fond of mathematics. In fact, he was so fond of mathematics that he used to do mathematics at night and write the results down on his bed sheets, and sometimes even on his thigh. So he was a bit peculiar, really. But this is an essay about him by the famous 17th century diarist John Aubrey. And Thomas Hobbes evidently came across geometry quite late. As Aubrey writes, he was 40 years old before he looked on geometry, which happened accidentally. Being in a gentleman's library, Euclid's Elements lay open. And what Hobbes was looking at was Pythagoras' theorem. In fact, the very diagram we've just seen. And he read it, and he read the proof of the result based on that diagram, and he was absolutely astonished by it. He actually claimed, this is impossible, meaning he couldn't quite believe this theorem until he read and understood the proof, and until at last, as Aubrey writes, at last he was demonstratively convinced of that truth, the truth of the theorem. And this made him in love with geometry. And that's where the title of this series comes from.